Welcome back to Lost Legacies.
A Hidden City Bookshop Productions. No, Book Company Production. Sorry.
Either way, I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam. I'm frazzled.
So, okay, series finale time. We're talking about Dark. We're kind of gonna just jump into it because I figure we got a lot to talk about. But got to do some announcements before we start. I did make an email for us.
You
Lost
did?
Lost Legacies podcast at gmail.com. So if you got questions or anything like that, just send it our way.
Send it our way.
Also, Buzzsprout, the company we use to host our podcast, they added a new feature now where you can text us. So theoretically, it's wherever you're listening. It could be on your Apple Podcast. It could be on Spotify. There's now a link at the bottom of the description, so you can send any comments or questions via text. I don't know the specifics, so I don't know if you have to get the Buzzsprout app or make an account with them. I don't know because I do have an account with them because I run the podcast. So anytime I click it, it just goes through. So essentially, you're texting Buzzsprout and they're texting us. So that's another way to get in contact with us. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of exciting.
Interesting. Yeah.
So no excuse. If you have a question, let us know. And then, of course, you can always use hashtag Lost Legacies on Twitter or wherever.
So when you say text, you can just open it up in your phone and you can start composing a message.
You have to click the link.
You have to click the link. Okay, but you said text and I was like, wait, I mean they're gonna text us during our day?
Well, they text Buzzsprout and then Buzzsprout texts us. So
okay, but it's not like you have my personal number now, so now you can text me whenever you want.
No.
Okay, cool. I was confused. Now I'm not.
So now you can text us, you can email us, you got options.
Mm-hmm.
Also, last week's episode was our 150th episode.
Oh my gosh!
Cool. Yeah, I was like,
cool.
Wow. All right.
Who's counting these things?
Yeah,
now?
I just happened to notice it on my Buzzsprout account. I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. So if you're still here, if you've been here from the beginning, kudos to you. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
And here's
Here's
salute you. Here's the next 50.
Yeah, the next 50. The next 150.
There you go. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. I guess we'll go ahead and say right now before we get into it. This is the last episode. We talk about Dark. R.I.P. Schedule wise, we don't really know what we're going to be doing next. Next week we will be back with a new episode. We're not talking about anything, we're not watching anything. But we're trying to get Dad back for next week's episode. It might be something superhero based. There's a lot of superhero news going on, so we got a lot to catch up on. So just I was gonna say smash that subscribe button, but I feel like that's only YouTube. You don't really smash the podcast.
If you feel like smashing the podcast subscribe button,
you smash that button. You smash that podcast.
I give you permission.
There you go
to smash.
Yeah. So hit, make sure you're getting our notifications. We'll send, you'll be the first ones to see when we have a new episode live. As for this upcoming month, pretty much for May, we're kind of just going to be hanging out. Like I said, we're going to try and get Dad next week. Maybe we'll try and watch a movie. We've always been talking about watching a movie and discussing that.
That's true.
We've only done one so far. So May's kind of just going to be a relaxing, fun month. And then it's back to business.
Yeah.
Sometime. Sam's also going on a little vacation. So once he gets back, So I'm thinking probably like the second week of June, we're
Hmm.
gonna jump back into Lost.
To Lost, to real TV,
Oh
to
man, real
syndicated
TV.
syndicated television.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. You have about a month to catch up on Lost and or rewatch the first 3 episodes of season 5 because
Oh, that's right.
we're just jumping in where we left off. Season
Yeah.
5, episode 3.
Did we even get to talk about episode
No,
3? No.
no, we
Okay.
watched it, but we never got to talk about it.
That's right. That's right.
So
Okay. Cool.
yeah, yeah. Which is wild because I was thinking about it. If we didn't do the writer strike, uh, we still wouldn't be finished with Lost regardless. So,
Very true. Yeah.
but we might have finished before the 20th anniversary
Mm.
in September.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think
Okay.
it kind of fits. It's kind of suiting that we're still going to be working on it on
Yeah.
the 20th. And Dan had mentioned if we're going to do something special. I feel like we should. Like I don't know.
Yeah. But what are we gonna do?
I don't know. I
Dress
don't
up as
know.
your favorite Lost character? It's gonna be real hard for me to become the smoke monster, but I'll try. You know.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're
Dan,
gonna have
reach
to
out
shave
to us. Dan's on
your head.
Dan's on the Twitch. He's a Twitch guy. We'll talk to him because we're always talking about trying to stream. You
Yeah.
know, especially because we've been talking forever about doing a YouTube page, and it's just it's I don't like technology, man. I tried and I'm like I don't get this.
Yeah.
So, but we're eventually going to do our Baldur's Gate stream, so we got to learn. But
True.
yeah, so I don't know, that would be kind of cool. Maybe we'll rewatch the pilot or something. I don't know, live.
Yeah.
Like yeah, we're gonna see what we're able to do in September. So yeah, stick around. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun. I hope we didn't ruin Lost by watching Dark. You know what I mean?
You know, I don't think we have.
Right.
Because it's two completely different shows. You
Yeah.
know, and whereas Dark has time travel as like its main thing, the thing that
Hmm.
that it's doing, time travel is only one component of Lost's entire puzzle. You know, it's like
Right.
while not a small thing, not a small component, it's only one part of it. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
so yeah, no, I don't. I really don't think it's gonna ruin it. And honestly, after this season, I'm really looking forward to just being like, I know we're kind of in the Dark Knight part of Lost, but I'm really looking forward to having fun with the TV show again.
Yeah. Yeah. But until then, let's get back to not having fun with TV. And we're talking about Dark, season 3,
Hmm.
episode 8, the
Oof.
series finale,
Ah, a dagger in my
Paradise.
heart. Oh.
Yeah, man. So what was your once it ended, what was your first thoughts? What were your feelings? What were you going through?
I had this thought, and it was like this was like 2 weeks ago when I realized like, okay, we're gonna get to the series finale soon. I had this thought, and it was the immediate thing that I texted you as as soon as I finished watching this episode, and I texted you that gif of John Locke saying, "We're gonna have to watch that again."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
As dark as this show is, um watching just the past 2 episodes, I was thinking the same thing like, man, I can't wait to rewatch this at
yeah,
some point.
yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
Some point. Yeah, this is definitely not a show. Even though I did have kind of that feeling of, man, I want to rewatch this right now,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in the moment I was in that moment, I was like, oh, I really just want to I want to binge it now.
Yeah.
Not gonna do that, but yeah, I think it's gonna be fun when I eventually do rewatch it and just be like, man, this is
Hmm.
such great television right now.
And that's why it kind of worked out for me because as soon as I started watching it, I'm like, I need to get Sam to watch this. But even more than that, I need to bring it to the pod because there's so much to talk about with each
Hmm.
episode, you
Hmm.
know? So then I was just kind of sitting and like twiddling my thumbs for a couple of months, and I'm like, we gotta get to this show. And then with the strike, we were able to, you know?
Yeah.
Um, which is also you know, props to German Netflix, who are a lot more gracious and uh, considerate regarding their artists than American Netflix,
Yeah.
because all our problems and part of the reason why everyone went on strike, uh, German Netflix, you don't eat like they didn't have that problem, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and again, man, it's been a long time since we talked about it, but if I remember correctly, they signed like this historic deal going forward uh, with I don't know, with their it's their version of like SAG, you
Mm.
know, um, and it specifically targets, you know, how you get compensated for streaming shows. And this was like a week or two into our strike,
Yeah.
you know, and the American companies were like, "Oh, no, we're not going to do that."
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So good for them. Good on German Netflix. That's just really cool. That's really cool of them. But yeah, and this was the first Netflix original show from Germany.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're all like this, just dark,
They gotta have some comedies, right?
right? They gotta. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So how are you feeling?
You know, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, wasn't that dark.
It was a very hopeful ending.
And I think, honestly, I think because the last couple of episodes have been so dark, have been so draining,
Hmm.
that it's like this was the turnaround. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, it doesn't have to be this. And I love it when stories do that. I love it when
Yeah.
stories, go that route and be like, yeah, this is how it's been. It doesn't have to be. And
Hmm.
it shows you another way. It shows you a different path, and you're just like, oh my God. I will say this though. The episode is an hour 13.
Hmm.
I really wish this was a full 10 episode season.
So do I. Yeah.
Not necessarily because I think I needed this episode to be longer, but I think because it felt like we kind of rushed through a lot of important stuff.
Hmm.
It's like, I mean, we got introduced to, Mirror Winden,
Hmm.
at the start of the episode, or at the start of this season.
Hmm.
And we only had 8 episodes to really kind of like reconcile with that. And then so like by the time we start this episode, now you're telling me there's a third world out there.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that I needed to see the third world, especially because it sounds like it ended. It ends when Tannhaus creates the machine, and that's
Hmm.
or turns the machine on, and that's what creates the two Windens. Um, but I was just curious. I was just so caught up in that. It did kind of feel like oh, by the way, this is a thing that exists, and we had to tell you that right now out the gate because this is the finale. This
Hmm.
is this is this is everything else.
Hmm.
Not necessarily that it's been leading to this in a way.
Hmm.
Um, but I will say that if you're gonna throw in like a final act Hail Mary, this was a hell of a final act Hail Mary.
Yeah, like so the whole concept of season three of there being a mirror Winden, like that's been, we didn't know it, but like they were teasing that. And
Yeah.
the clues have been planted. So now going back and watching it will be able to spot it easier, you know?
Hmm.
But the twist that there's a third world, that like came out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
there's no indication of that anywhere in this whole show. So when they drop, when that's how this final episode begins, it's such a ballsy move. Uh, but the fact that it's based in a very human story,
Hmm.
it makes up for it. Like not that it makes up for it, but it's just like it's worth it. Like it works, you
Yeah.
know. And I think this is also a reason of why we were saying like they kill off three characters. Those storylines are over. And then last week we were talking about how it felt like a series finale because we were ending all of these stories. You know,
Hmm.
Noah's story done. You know, Charlotte's story done.
Yeah.
Like even if we didn't realize it at the time, that's the last time we saw them. So this episode really lets you focus, and I like how we spent time in Tannhouse's world, just a
Yeah.
little bit, but like they weren't short scenes. You know, they let
Yeah.
us linger with the family. And like and that's kind of been my whole thing with this show always. Like I love how long the camera stays on these characters, even to a certain extent where like it's just about to get uncomfortable. You
Hmm.
know, the scene's over, you're just looking at someone's reaction just almost a little too long and then it cuts.
Yeah.
And that's how these scenes felt. Like we just got to stay with them. Uh so yeah, it would talk about the Deus ex machina that works.
Hmm.
You know, it's yeah, man, absolutely loved it, and it was very hopeful, but also it was magical. You
Yeah.
know, and that's something that we hadn't got in this show, like this actual the magic and beauty of like, man, we're traveling through time, we're meeting different versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, and what it all comes down to is it's a love story. You
Yeah.
know, it's proof of what we've been saying. Like Jonas and Martha are like the definition of star-crossed lovers. You
Hmm.
know, their love broke time. What Tannhaus broke time because of love,
Hmm.
but Martha and Jonas were the reason it kept looping.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
yeah. And also now we can look back and we can see, holy crap, how much of our cast should never have existed.
Dude, that's what I was saying. Like when we like knowing that uh everything was going to be undone, rewritten.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking like there's gonna be there's gonna be a couple of people that aren't gonna exist anymore.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what I love about the final scene, the dinner party where it's like, oh my God, yeah, there's so many people that don't exist anymore
Mm-hmm.
because
None of the kids, you know.
none
We
of
started the
Katarina's
show
kids.
with these kids going, you know, having this crazy adventure, and like none
Hmm.
of them are there anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so wild. It's so crazy. Um, yeah, yeah, like Yorick's not there.
York's not there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big one. That's why Hannah and
That
Katharina are still friends, and
yeah.
Regina. It's like wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Kat and I were talking about it last night. You know, we it took us like a good like just 2 hours to just kind of like process everything. And then
Hmm.
finally we're just like we're lying in bed and we're just like, yeah, how come Alexander's not there? Like, yeah, yeah, that's crazy. And then my takeaway of it is that like because Yorick isn't there is why Alexander's not there. And it's this thing of like it's this thing that like the universe is giving you in both Windens in the two Windens that got created the universe gave people things that they were missing
Mm.
or that they weren't getting. So the fact
Hmm.
that Claudia is off doing her thing, you know, kind of becoming enamored with this time travel, trying to figure out this mystery, she's not there for Regina.
Hmm.
That's why Alexander comes in. Alexander is the
Mm,
universe's way of giving Regina company and love and affection that she's not getting
mm,
elsewhere.
mm-hmm,
Yorick is this just antagonistic force that exists in both timelines that, whatever your take on Yorick is, he is just this force of like rebellion,
mm-hmm,
and he makes the lives of the people around him worse,
mm-hmm.
which is why Katerina is the way that she is, which is why Hannah is the way that she is, which is why, yeah, like there's this conflict between Regina and all of them, and nobody talks as adults, all of these things. When you take out the antagonistic force, the friendship that was always at the core of Hannah and Katerina remains because there's no
Right.
competition.
Mm-hmm,
They have nothing to fight against or fight over.
mm-hmm,
And then because of that, there's nothing to like instigate any antagonism towards Regina.
mm-hmm.
And because Alexander's not there, and because we get to see the photo of Regina, Claudia, and uh
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, the old man, her grandfather, uh, we
Oh,
can see now.
that's her dad.
Is that her dad in that photo?
Yeah, so that was the head of the power plant.
Oh, that was him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. It's a full family. So it's like
Yeah.
there's no need for Alexander to be there, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
This is really interesting because also like it's so crazy because like it is like time travel and the byproduct of it, it's like we said, it was like a time is degrading or being tainted. It really is like a cancer because once it's cut out, everything is better. So
Yeah.
without time travel, Hannah never went to the past and met Katharina's mom.
Hmm.
So the mom probably wasn't as screwed up.
Yeah.
Maybe she probably still could have been, but we also don't know that her name's Katharina in this Winden.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah.
So I don't know. So that could be a part of it. Also, that means that uh, Claudia's mom, Egon's wife, never cheated.
Yeah.
Egon never cheated.
Yeah.
It could have been they cheated with other people, but not with who we saw, not with a time traveler.
Yeah.
You know? So it keeps going like it's a cascading, it's the domino effect that keeps going further and further back, you
Hmm.
know? I was like,
hmm
oh man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just the fact that, like, yeah, Noah and his sister don't exist anymore
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because the kids never went back in time and Bartosz never met um his
Celia.
Celia, yes, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
Celia
you.
was never
We only got
born.
her name one episode in, and I was
I
like,
know.
and that's it. It's never said again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even the revelation that Charlotte still exists because that was the name of the baby, but Charlotte, as we know her, doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's why she's not there at the end. I'm just like, this is
I,
so freaking fascinating,
I
man.
like how Jonas and Martha like they ask each other like, "Do you think there will be any of us left?" I
Hmm.
don't know,
We don't know.
man.
Yeah. This is yeah, man. What a it's man, I just there was so much just about this episode that
Mm-hmm.
I was like, as much as I wanted more of this, I'm glad this is what we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like having this Jonas and this Marta, you know,
Yeah.
I I
Yeah.
I think that's such a clever choice.
Mm-hmm.
To have like this is a Jonas who is still fresh in his grief
It's
and mourning.
what's wild is essentially this Jonas. It's like introducing a brand new lead character for the very last episode.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
this is brilliant because like our lead is dead. The only other version of him is the evil one.
Yeah.
So they introduced this brand new version who didn't experience and go through a lot of what we experienced and went through while watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing with Martha. He was able to save Mirror Martha before she became scarred Martha and
Mm-hmm.
before she starts working with Adam. And I'm like, it's so, I love it how like all of Dark, even if we don't understand what the rules are, you can tell that they're there. There's a purpose, there's an order. And then this episode just blows it all to hell and it's like, nope, we're breaking time.
Mm-hmm.
Get in, bitch. We're breaking time. I'm like, and I
Title of the
like,
episode.
yeah, and I like how Adam's the one who leads it.
Yeah.
Claudia tells him, and it's like he still is Jonas.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, it wasn't. He didn't get what was coming to him. He wasn't defeated. He wasn't killed. The basically antagonist of our show learns and he
Mm-hmm.
realizes where he went wrong, where he was wrong, and he does whatever is necessary to make it right. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. God. Yeah. What a show. What an episode.
What a show, man. It's so like I get it. Season 3 is where a lot of people turn off Dark because it's too confusing.
Sure.
Uh it just gets too out there. I get that. But like for me, and I think I kind of started realizing it now doing this rewatch with you. After watching it for the first time, every time I think back to Dark, I'm thinking of season 3.
Mm.
You know, I know when people think back to Lost, they're always like, oh man, they remember like classic Lost, those first few seasons, surviving on
Mm-hmm.
an island, fighting the others, Uh,
The we have to go back.
Yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like when I look back and think of like what Dark was, it was the last season, you know? Even as
Mm-hmm.
dark and as heavy and as difficult of a watch as it was just to keep up and to understand, like season 1 is just a part of Dark.
Yeah.
Season 2 is just a part of Dark. But when
Yeah.
I think of season 3, I'm like, dude, that's where it was. So when this episode ended, I was like, wow. Or actually, like right after the episode ended, I went and I watched the trailer for season 3.
Mm.
And it was the trailer Netflix put out, and it features the song, I forgot what it was called. It's the one from Block Party, the
Yeah. Yeah.
M83 remix. And I'm like, this is so good. And it starts where season 2 ends. Martha's like, it's not about what time, but what world. I'm like, holy crap. That was just 8 episodes ago. Like it feels like we went. It felt like this was its own series. Like
Yeah.
we've traveled so far from episode 1 through episode 8 in this season.
Mhm.
Like, oh man, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay. So when it's revealed, how did you feel during the reveal when they're talking about like there's a third world?
Uh, yeah, I was mind blown. I was like, "What? What do you mean that this third world? Wait, we've been watching that world's Tannhaus build his time machine? Like, what? Oh, like I was freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then as the credits started, I was like, "What is it? This feels like a Deus Ex Machina. I don't know if I like it. Like, we need more time. I don't know how this is
Mm-hmm.
all gonna work." And then no, by the end of the episode, I was like, no, yeah, this works. And it perfectly fits with that image that we saw so many times in season 1 of those like knots or like the knot that has like the
Oh,
three chords,
the triquarta? Is that what he calls it?
the trifecta.
He doesn't call it that. Oh, unless that's
Oh,
how you say it in German. I don't know.
maybe, but that's
But
what it
yeah.
translated to. Yeah, the trifecta. And I was like, no, that does make perfect sense. This it like it may not have been like heavily hinted at as much as like a second world,
Mm-hmm.
but that's an image, that's an image on on the painting that Mikhail sees. That's the image right on top of at the top of Noah's back tattoo. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that thing has been there the whole time. And if we're paying,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's on the door. It's on the
Mm-hmm.
doors in the cave. So it's like once you make that connection, it's like this has been where this is leading the whole time. It's
Yeah.
not just two paths. It's not just two paths or two worlds. It's three.
Mm-hmm.
There's always another option. And that, yeah.
Triquetra.
Triquetra. That's what
Mm,
it's called.
sure.
It's it's kind of hard to see.
Oh yeah.
The three loop knot. The
Hmm.
origin of the triquetra symbol is unknown.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah. So yeah, dude, going back, like it was on the steel doors. Like it was
Yeah.
there from the start, and I was like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Hmm.
Um, what I was gonna tell you, okay, right after I saw the season 3 trailer, I went back and I watched the first 5 minutes of episode 1, season 1,
Hmm.
and it's Tannhaus talking about time. You see all the pictures on Claudia's bunker wall. You see Michael hang himself, and you see Jonas kind of wake up. But then you get the opening credits, and the opening credits all the way from episode 1. What have they shown us? Mirrored images.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh God, I'm like, this is so cool. I'm like, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I didn't realize this season 3, episode 1. I was like, oh, they're showing
Yeah.
us mirrored images. But then there's certain moments in the opening credits where they show us 3 images,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, so you'll see someone mirrored and then you'll just see another version of them next to it. I'm like, oh, they were teasing us from the beginning that there's 3 worlds.
Hmm.
Oh man. So yeah, like it makes sense in hindsight now that Tannhaus is in the third world, the origin world.
Hmm.
Because last episode you talked about it, you mentioned how they are changing the aspect ratios.
Yeah.
They
Oh, that's
only
right. Yeah,
changed
yeah.
aspect ratios when we went to the origin world.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and they
Yeah.
use more vibrant colors, or it was kind of just like normal colors. Like dark was
Yeah.
always using like dark filters.
It's very
Um,
muted. It feels very
mhm,
gray.
I saw
Yeah.
behind the scenes called "The Art of Dark." It's a short documentary,
Hmm.
and it's interviewing the cinematographer and like the people who run the film equipment,
Hmm.
and so like the audio and the cameras and the lights, and they were talking about how like they had to go like hand paint in a lot of the filters.
Oh, huh.
I was like, that's interesting, just to kind of get the look they were going for.
Hmm.
But when they talked about the third world, it's kind of like it was such a relief because it's like, oh, we're back to reality. We're just filming things different aspect ratio, but we're filming it the way it is. You know,
Mm.
this is green, so it's gonna look green. Whereas
Yeah.
everything else, or Prime Winden was very dark. Mirror Winden is kind of bluish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. Also,
That's so
something
cool.
I did not realize this until this episode. See, I'm still catching new stuff, but Martha's scar switches sides when she leaves the mirror world. So she has
Oh.
that little cut on her right cheek,
Uh-huh.
and then as soon as Jonas saves her, it's on the left side. And I was like,
Huh.
huh, like that. I guess that one, yeah, it makes sense because it's not like things were literally flipped
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
mirror Winden,
Yeah.
both practically and I don't know. So like, so it's not just like, oh, my right side, I have a scar on my right cheek. That's me in all of them. Like, no, you literally change when you enter another world, and now it's the left side. So that's just wild too, because again, I was watching the documentary and they're showing clips from throughout the season. Martha, Mirror Martha, when she goes back to the 1800s, scars on the left side. I was
Mm,
like, oh, they've been changing sides this whole time. I never realized it.
yeah,
I think the same thing happens with the origin because they have that wicked lip scar. It's
that's
kind of tricky because it's in the
oh yeah,
center,
yeah.
but there's some shots where it looks like it's changed. It's
Mm-hmm.
because of the timeline.
Yeah.
I did not even realize that.
Wow. I never noticed that. Wow.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
man.
that's so freaking fascinating, man.
Yeah.
Can we talk about can we talk about the scene where Jonas and Marta are in the like
The
t
Matrix?
the Matrix? Yeah, where time
Yeah.
t stands still. I here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't get it.
Uh-huh.
I do not understand it.
Yeah.
I don't at that point I didn't need to. I was
Yeah.
on board. I was
Yeah.
like I don't care. Like this is a thing that's happening. I like I can't it's not even that my brain like can't like grasp like what's happening. It's like you know what's happening, but it's just I, I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point, but it's just that like I just found it to be such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
two have just been there. They've been there for each other their whole lives,
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know it, you know,
Yeah.
and across universes,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
when you get down to it, it's like that's not your Marta, dude. That's not your little Marta. Also, little Marta has the same haircut.
She's the same haircut.
She has the same freaking haircut her entire life. Like, come on. But it's
uh
so cute, so cute. And the little Jonas, so cute. And it's just so great that like they get to be honestly, they get to be with the parent who loved them the most in
hmm
that moment. And they just get to have like we just get these scenes, you know,
hmm
just them staring at each other across time, you know. I'm like, this is so
and
beautiful.
and it's like, you know what, you don't need to understand it.
Yeah.
Like they reinforced it this entire episode. They're going to the third world.
Hmm.
That's all you gotta know. Where are they?
Hmm.
I have no freaking clue.
Yeah.
They're outside of time. They're in
Yeah.
time itself. It doesn't matter. You know, they're going to the third world. And if you've spent any amount of time with kids or spent time enough time with kids, you'll know they do creepy stuff like that, man. Like
Hmm.
kids are on like their perception levels are just totally out of this world. They see things we can't. They
Yeah.
understand things that it feels super simple, but also just totally incomprehensible. Like they just get it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's something kids lose as they get older. I don't know. It's just it's wild. So to see Martha and Jonas go through that, and it's like so many parents. I'm not going to say all parents, but so many parents. You ask parents in general, and they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, that's happened to my kid."
Hmm.
And it kind of and so it adds this kind of urban legend to it. Like, oh man, this could happen. You know, has
Yeah.
this happened? Is that what ghosts are? You know,
Hmm.
is that what dreams are? Are we just looking into other timelines, other
Hmm.
worlds? Are
Is
they
that
all real somewhere?
yeah, yeah. Is that what angels are?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, you know, like I don't remember their names, but Tannhouse's son, that's what his wife says when they go back
Mm.
to the shop, you know,
Mhm.
after they meet Martin and Jonas, she tells Tannhouse it's like I think he met like his guardian angels or something. He's like,
Yeah,
don't mock me. Like, don't tease me. Like
yeah.
this is serious.
They're
Like,
pretty creepy angels, though. I'm like, come on, Jonas and Martha.
hey man,
How much
hey
time travel
man.
do y'all need to do and world hopping to not seem creepy, you know?
It's all the black, you know. Ugh,
I
I'm
I kind
funky.
of
I've always been
I
funky.
kind of like that because you know how Tannhaus was talking about, oh, there's two odd women came and said I was going to lose everything, but also gain everything. And they gave me Charlotte. And he even said they looked odd. I like that. You know, it's
Hmm.
kind of like, Kyle Reese shows up naked and he automatically puts on like post apocalyptic gear.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like you could tell that guy's a time travel. Like we saw the journey, we saw why they're wearing what they're wearing, but like it makes sense. Like from that perspective, from that guy's film, the movie about that guy's life, Malik, he meets these two people and like, oh, these two they're not from around here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, it was done so well.
They've seen some stuff, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, like they look like time travelers. Like
Hmm.
that's awesome. Uh yeah. I like how for some reason Little Jonas also had the yellow raincoat.
Yeah. So that we know who these
Yeah,
people
Martha
are.
had the hair, the bob, and
Yeah.
Jonas had the raincoat.
Yeah,
Um
exactly.
so obviously knowing how this ends, last episode was really cool because I was seeing the Tannhaus stuff already knowing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm like noticing the aspect ratio change and all this stuff, but and the color, all the colors they were adding to that world, origin world.
Yeah.
Also, like it just didn't really make sense because like we've seen Tannhaus in the 80s, and we have no idea that he's building something.
Yeah.
It's like, huh, interesting. But then also I like the way everything looks. One, because we didn't talk about it, the door's different to the bunker. It like opens upwards like a
Yeah.
DeLorean door. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. I should have clocked that, you
Hmm.
know. Uh, but then also like his shop, very well. His story starts in the 70s, last week's episode, and it goes
Yeah.
through the 80s. It
Yeah.
looks very 70s. The way all the clocks look, and we've never seen that before. We've always seen it
Hmm.
looking more like an antique shop,
Yeah.
So there's all these little hints and stuff like, wow, why didn't I catch that before? You know, we could talk about Yorick real quick.
Man, dude, look, at least his storyline was consistent. He started off the show being being a terrible person,
Yeah,
and he goes out being a terrible person.
yeah, dude. So it kind of answers the question we had in season one. Like, what if he had gone down the other tunnel?
Yeah.
That's kind of what this shows. Like, oh, what if he fought adult Helgi?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's interesting because nearly killing Kid Helgi scarred and traumatized him his whole life. Running into adult Helgi, it didn't. So I
Hmm.
think having that happen as an adult, he was probably it still screwed him up, but there was probably he probably had anger. I think that's
Yeah.
something like the kid can't process. So the kid doesn't grow up with that anger, it grows up with fear.
Yeah.
So with adult Helgi, he grows up with that anger, which is why old Helgi is able to kill him.
Yeah.
He like orchestrates it essentially. And
Yeah.
like, oh man. And dude, the hero the whole time was Claudia, old Claudia.
Yep. Old Claudia. I
I
never
l-
doubted.
I like how even like season two or yeah, Jonas is when like all the adults are finally getting on board with the time travel thing. He's telling them like Claudia eventually becomes the thing that she's been trying to fight.
Mm.
And it's like, ooh. And now in hindsight, it's like, yeah, he's kind of right, but she was always right.
Yeah.
Maybe not always, but at that point, old Claudia, like she knew.
Hmm.
So I love the ending because you get to see everyone start to fade away, literally.
Hmm.
There's slow motion Thanos. They got Thanos,
Yeah.
but it looks so much cooler because there was like gold,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, dude, I like how some of them were just like, okay. Some of them look scared. It's like, oh, dude,
Hmm.
this is awesome. Like,
Hmm. But we see, but I really love Claudia. Like she sees it, she sees everybody disappearing, and she
oh,
just
because she sees the wall.
yeah, yeah, because adult Marta sees the chalk drawings that she has, they're all going away and she's freaking out.
Yeah.
But Claudia is seeing the same thing with all her conspiracy board wall, and she just lets out a single tear, like,
Mm,
finally it's done. This is
hmm.
over, you know. Like a part of me kind of wanted to see everyone go through that, but I
Yeah.
think like honestly I think it's a bit much, and really it's sort of like once we see the people that we see, they're our key players in all this.
Yeah.
um
I mean, who else was left?
yeah,
You
well, I
know?
mean, like, I just wanted to see like the kids, because it's like you said, like the kids are gone, you know but
Yeah, but
but it also kind of doesn't make sense, you know
yeah.
and then I guess that's part of the point of like the final scene where it's like this is who's left, and
Hmm.
we infer what we infer, that okay, the kids aren't there,
It's
and that's
like
okay, I guess.
it's kind of weird because it's like, where in time does this happen to everyone? Because it's happening at different points in time.
Yeah.
But it's like at this point in those stories, all the kids are gone.
Oh, yeah, true,
You
true.
know, uh, so like when it happens to middle-aged Jonas, they're still there.
Yeah.
Bartosz and Francesca and Magnus, they're still there, but we don't see it.
Hmm.
It's kind of like who's alive to see the end.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. It's kind of weird. So
Well, I guess really then it's kind of like we got to see these versions just because they're the glitches. They're the glitches that were never supposed to exist, you know?
sure. I mean, so were the kids, but it's just
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Like it's just weird. I guess like it is weird because like we see middle-aged Jonas become Adam, but in this world, this timeline, he doesn't. It just stops. He even like has that look like, what did I do wrong? What's happening? So
Hmm.
yeah, I guess that does make sense. Like, why didn't we see the kids? It could have been at a different point in time.
Yeah.
Man, this was an epic story. So many characters.
Yeah.
We got to see Waller at the end. He's with Hannah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, okay, we didn't get his eye story. And then who's okay? His brother was named Benny,
Yeah.
and
Benny's with Peter.
yeah, what's the other name? Bernadette. It said it
Um,
in the credits, but it was too fast. It was too fast. So, but I'm glad to see that they're there.
yeah. They're credited on IMDb as Benny.
Okay, I did like Hannah though talking about her dream, and it brought me back to what you said, your prediction. It was like, maybe like a world without Wyndon. Maybe that's how it ends. And they
Yeah.
bring that up,
Yeah.
What's your wish? Like a world without Wyndon.
Hmm.
Wow.
It's so cool because like it's the cool thing about time travel stories, and the thing that we got to see so much with uh just with like this season being like, oh yeah, like how is everything different in Mirror Winden than
Hmm.
regular Winden? It's like, oh, all of these people find this body instead of this body, these people finding the body, and at different points in time. It's like that's so cool to me. What's really cool about the finale is how, even though these other people don't exist anymore, there's something about there's something that always lingers. It's the thing of like matter can never be created or destroyed. It's just
Hmm.
repurposed. It's redistributed. It's Katerina who says, to the wish, like what would be your wish? It's like a world without Winden.
Hmm.
That's Yorick. That's
Hmm.
what Yorick wished for. The fact that that the yellow raincoat is there, and Hannah like feels something. She's like triggered by it. It's like, yeah, it's like there's always going to be something lingering of other worlds.
Hmm.
You know, those ideas and that matter, they just get redistributed and reconstituted into something else. Jonas will exist in this world, just probably not the Jonas we know, you know? And yeah, I just think there's something so cool. Like it almost felt sinister at first when Hannah like sees the raincoat and is like almost scared by it. It's almost like you're remembering a nightmare or something. But then she has, the dream where it's like, yeah, I felt like everything was being snuffed out, or something, and then it was peaceful, you know? And I'm like, yeah, like that's
She says, like, for some reason, I knew it felt right.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh
Everything
man.
was ending. It was the end of the world. But
Hmm.
yeah, but everything felt right. It's like that's so crazy. It's like literally everything we just watched amounted to a dream.
Yeah, yeah. Which
What
is the
a
best
what
way?
a
Which is the best way?
yeah.
Because we joked about that. I wonder if this whole show's a dream. Did
It's a
you
dream
see
in a snow globe, and yeah.
what was the don't look up? Was that the movie about the end of the world?
Yeah, yeah, with the meteor.
Yeah, did you
And
ever see
yeah,
that?
I never did, no.
Uh, I don't want to spoil anything, but you know,
Yeah, you did spoil
the
it.
world ends.
Yeah.
So, and the ending scene is just it's
Oh,
so emotional, like because they're all like the whole family and friends, they're all having dinner and like they're laughing and drinking and having a conversation and they know that they have seconds left and like they're trying to keep it up and they just you could tell they're faking it, but they just keep it up and like everyone just kind of like they're sharing glances with each other and then it ends. I'm like, oh dude, like it kind of has that vibe of this last scene, Um,
mhm,
except that movie actually was the literal end of the world.
mhm,
Just so raw, so emotional that scene in that movie. It kind of reminded me of the end of this show, except in this one it was a dream, you know,
mhm.
and like just the way Hannah describes it, I'm like, oh man, I don't know, man. I always thought Jonas was a beautiful name. That little song they've been playing throughout the show.
Yeah.
Uh, how did you feel about the final like montage of everyone disappearing to It's a Wonderful World?
It cheesy.
It
It's
was cheesy. It kind of took me out of it for a second
yeah,
because
yeah.
it sounds like
It's
every other trailer song. It's just
yeah,
a
it's
depressing
just
cover.
a sad white girl doing I see trees of green. It's like
Yeah,
fire, blah 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 all this stuff. And you're just like, okay, all
it
right.
was super emotional. I wish they didn't use that song though.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of leads I wonder if there's a different version on Netflix Germany,
Hmm.
because I think I can't say for certain, but I think there are times where like they'll use different songs.
Well, that's typically because Netflix doesn't have the
Oh, okay,
rights to certain songs.
that's fair. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, maybe
Like,
not then. But like it is kind of a thing of like sure it feels a little bit like the lazy man's like, oh, because it's so hopeful now, and we've gone through so much, or just the juxtaposition of this happy song, to all of this violence and destruction ending. Sure, you know,
yeah,
I'm sure whoever decided that gave themselves a big pat on the back for that. But I mean, it took me out for a second,
yeah.
but I was yeah, but like by the
I
time
was
the
immediately thrown back
montage
in. Yeah,
yeah, by the time the montage ended, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Personally,
We needed to have our montage. This was the last episode, and we've
yeah,
had it every episode,
yeah.
you
Personally,
know?
I would have went back and used the song. I look it up this time. The Pioneers by Block Party, the M83 remix. I would have done that
You would have
instead.
used that again?
Because what
Mm.
scene was that used in?
Was
That was episode 6.
it's not
Oh, that's the actual end of the world. A
yeah,
mirror.
in Mirrorwinden,
Mirror
yeah.
winded.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That would have been cool. Just as you see everyone just like vanishing. Uh,
Hmm.
I would have to listen to it. I don't know if it would fit or not, but I think it would be cool. That's the song they play on the trailer, season 3 trailer, and it's awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I think it'll work.
Yeah, yeah.
Now when I think of time travel, I think of that song.
Mm.
Because it even sounds like there's an organ in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a little more time until I watch it another time.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this a week or two ago. Like this one, it was kind of hard to watch this on a weekly basis this time.
Mm.
Whereas, because that's essentially what I did in my first watch. I'm like, I really like this. I don't want to rush it,
Hmm.
and I was fine. But on the rewatch, I think like I kind of struggled a little bit, and I think it has to do with what I was telling you. Like when I think of Dark, I think of season 3. You know,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, let's get back to season 3. You know, and then I'm in season 3.
Jeez.
I'm like, damn it, this is so depressing.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Let's see. Let's go through the notes. See, I could have never wrote the show because this show works so well because of its subtlety,
Hmm.
you know, and that's where the details are. That's where the clues to Mirror Winden in the origin world lies. It's all in the subtlety.
Hmm.
Not me. Dude, Mirror Winden, it would have been like a steampunk world. You know? Like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
the origin world, I would have thought like, oh, maybe I'll make the origin world like sci-fi. Oh, but wait a minute. That means we're only gonna get one episode in the sci-fi world. Okay, I'll make the whole show sci-fi. Mirror World is steampunk, and the origin world is actually our world. You know? Yeah, it's just like I don't know, man. I don't have the restraint to make this show. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I would just drop like crazy stuff, like just saying having it be as an aside to like the news or whatever, like, oh, today is the date that coincides with the unfortunate passing of Paul McCartney, who was shot and killed, you know, by so and
Oh
so.
crap, yeah.
And, you know, so then instead it's like, oh, John Lennon didn't die in this world, Paul McCartney did. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like just do crazy stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I just looked at my notes and nothing of note. We already talked about everything.
I know,
Also,
I was gonna say, yeah.
I didn't really take that many notes. I was just so invested in this.
Hey,
Uh,
series finale time. It's no
I
time for notes.
yeah, I know. I did notice though, like Origin World, there was no nuclear plant. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in Prime Winden, like the bus stops on the right side, Mirror Winden bus stops on the left side. Origin, it's in the center of the intersection because the
Yeah.
street doesn't go that way to the nuclear plant. I was like,
Yeah.
man, okay. All those little details are just so I don't know, man. It just enriches everything. I loved it how one, I love the scene when Jonas gets Martha and he sets the timer to the perfect time. He just like bum rushes her. I was like,
Hmm.
dude, that was cool.
It's like, yeah,
And
hell
then to
yeah,
see
dude.
like how she's just so confused and what's going on and like when she realizes that he's not her Jonas, you
Hmm.
know? And like and this is the first time he's seen an alternate Martha because he never saw Mirror Martha.
Yeah.
It's some of the stuff, like it's retread. We've seen this before, but now we're just seeing it in a different light or a different
Hmm.
context.
Hmm.
It's like, oh,
And I think that's what's cool, and that's what keeps it from feeling like a retread is
yes.
is how fantastic the actors are playing it.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Mm-hmm.
already seen this Jonas meet this Marta.
Yeah.
We've seen how that plays out. Now we get to see it from this new perspective of like, this is the first time you're seeing this person, and you have to one, bum rush them into another universe, and then two, tell them that, hey, I bum rushed you into another universe because everything that we've done is bad, and this is the only way we can save the world
Mm-hmm.
at the cost of us never living.
Yeah.
Like that's so crazy. I feel like from like our perspective, or from maybe just the way you and I would write it, we wouldn't write it like that. We would want these two to have a connection. We would want these two to be to fulfill that role, like star-crossed lovers to the end. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, Jonas survived. He didn't really die. Like all those
Mm-hmm.
things, and like he gets to come back. Blah blah blah, all that stuff. But the way it's done here, it's like, no, this is perfect.
It's dark and it's bittersweet. Like
Yeah,
our
yeah,
heroes at the end are not our heroes from the beginning,
yeah.
you know? And even to them, to a certain extent, they're still strangers to each other
Yeah.
because they're not from the same world. They don't they barely they've known each other for a few hours in this
Hmm.
episode, and it's like, oh man,
The fact that they go to the tunnel and it's not even open, like they just have to
yeah,
sit there and wait for
yeah.
for the portal to be created. You're just like, man, that's
I like that
man,
scene too
yeah.
when Jonas asks Martha, he's like, "You're Jonas. Was he different?" And she doesn't answer. And the
Hmm.
crazy thing is, like, there is no mirror Jonas. It's always
Yeah,
been him.
yeah.
And it's like, oh man, yeah. Shout out to Lewis Hoffman and Lisa Vicari, man.
Yep.
Like, and it's so cool to see Martha's story, like just transformation and story and journey, because like she was barely in season one. She did some things. And in season two, they gave her a little more. And then they kill her. You're like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
But then season three, she's in a big way, she's the lead.
yeah.
She might she might have more agency than Jonas does, just because I feel like a lot of the Jonas we got this season was evil Jonas.
Yeah.
We lose our Jonas like in episode five, I think.
Hmm.
So yeah, man, I can go on and on. Unlike
and
this
we
story.
and we probably will.
Well, everyone, it was fun. This is
We
the
did
first
it.
series we finished on this podcast. I don't know how to go on from here. I don't
I
know how to end
know.
this. Um,
We've never done this before. It's unprecedented.
I know. Let's see. I have no behind the scenes info. I
Hmm.
recommend going and watch the Art of Dark, a short documentary.
Okay.
Uh, MVPs,
Jesus. You know,
everyone.
everyone. Yeah. 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 But I will give a special uh I will give a special shout out to, let me pull up his name here. Jeez. I'm gonna butcher this name. To Dietrich Hollanderbommer, who plays Adam.
Yeah.
Because for the entire show that we have known Adam, it's been very straightforward. It's been very like, you are you're the old man who has seen and done too much. You know, people have died by your hand. People have died because of what you've done, because you've told them to go do it.
Hmm.
You know, the horrible things have happened. I started breaking up pretty early in the episode when Claudia is telling him about the origin and telling him about there's this other world, and it's the only reason why these two worlds exist, and you and Ava keep these worlds together. You keep them going because that's all you know. And this whole thing of like he look like he's not even looking at her, he's just hearing her, and he starts crying.
Hmm.
And from then on out, he carries himself in a completely different way.
It's
When
like
he
he's
go,
Jonas again,
he's yeah,
you know?
exactly. He's Jonas again. He's not Adam anymore, you
Hmm.
know? And also, shout out to one of my favorite moments is when he goes to meet Ava. We didn't even talk about the scene. He goes to
Hmm.
meet Ava. She knows this. And that's kind of a cool thing that like gets introduced this episode, that I'm like, okay, like we've seen this before. Like not like physically seen this, but we've seen this before where people know how this story ends. I
Hmm.
know what you're here for. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna kill me. It causes the cycle to keep going, blah, 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 all this stuff. And he does the thing that I've been hoping that somebody was gonna do this entire episode. He changes his mind.
Hmm.
He has the gun pointed at her chest, and he opens his other hand and all of the bullets are there.
Hmm.
And Ava freaks out. She's like, this isn't how it's supposed to happen. Like, what's going on? And he gets to be with this person. It's like, that's
Hmm.
again, even in their most diabolical forms, they're still star-crossed. They're still
Yeah.
in love, you know? Like it's such a sick thing, like how twisted these people will become just for the sake of love.
Hmm.
And in that like they get to reconcile, you know. He's like, we're done, it's over, you know, whatever happens next, we won't be a part of it. And that might be beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
It's like maybe that's not the sentiment, but it's like we won't be a part of it. and
Yeah.
and that's it. That maybe that's the best option. And it's so like, oh man, like to go from playing this, you know, essentially, you know, we've been saying it the whole time. He's playing a Bond villain.
Yeah.
And then right at the very last episode, you give him the heel turn of like, but I never wanted to be.
Yeah.
And now, you know, he gets it felt kind of weird because in a way, in some of the shots, like just reminded me of, maybe it's just because he's a bald white man, but just reminded me of like Jean-Luc Picard, like old
Mm.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Hmm.
And just like just thinking about it in that context of just like this is an old man who's at the literal end of his life trying to do one last good thing, one thing right. You
Hmm.
know, it's like telling his younger self, you can change this. And I've always believed you could change it. It's like, no, God, oh man,
Yeah.
what a freaking show, man. What a character. What a man. I don't even know.
Yeah, man.
I don't even know that, and I guess that's my plea. I'm just gonna leave this like, if you're here listening to us rant and rave and praise Dark, one, thank you for being on this journey with us, but also to anyone else who, I don't know, you just wanted to listen to two random Mexican dudes talk about a German sci-fi show, uh, and you haven't finished Dark. Finish Dark. It's worth it. It's 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 worth it, you know. Yes, it is dark. Yes, there are things that gave me anxiety and made me feel sick to my stomach, but you know, the best stories are the things that make you feel things. And
Yeah.
this is one of the best finales I've ever seen.
Dude, I
You know?
agree completely. I don't
Yeah.
know, like, not that I want to rank it or anything, but it's like this is one of those shows where it's like this is up there, man. Top five, top three shows of all time, like for me
Mm.
anyway. Uh I don't know. Like they just did a Netflix did a thing asking people what's their favorite Netflix original, or not original shows, but like what's their favorite shows of um recent years or like this decade or this generation. I don't know, something like that.
Hmm.
And you know, just Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, all these shows. And number 10 was Dark. I
Hey,
was like, oh man, hell
that's
yeah.
cool. That's real
So, I
cool.
mean, the chances that someone's listening to this and hasn't finished, it's very low. But if you
Sure.
haven't finished,
Encourage your friends who
I,
stopped watching at the start of season 3 to
yeah,
finish.
what I want to talk about, or just what I want to mention, is just like, I want this to like set an example of just why it's so important, one, to just support the arts and to support the artists,
Hmm.
but also to like step out of your box, challenge yourself. Because I know I played it off as a joke, but like seriously, if I wrote this show, I would have done it way differently,
Hmm.
and and I wouldn't have been able to capture the nuance and the gravity of the situations and the characters and this and you know it's so ironic because I'm always the guy preaching when it comes to acting, less is more. And Dark, compared to my style of storytelling, is very much less is more.
Yep.
Like, make it about the story. So I always remember I've been watching a lot about Star Galactica because I'm watching several reaction channels to it, and now it's on Amazon Prime. So a lot of people are like
Yep.
rewatching it. Dan, I know you're listening. Go watch Battlestar. But the showrunner Ronald D. Moore, he was talking about writing the very last episode, and he couldn't figure it out. He's like he had dry erase boards and he had all these notes and all this stuff, and like he just couldn't figure out how to crack that last episode. And and it was about different people in different places and bringing them together, and then there's going to be this giant fight and blah blah blah. And he said literally one day in the shower he had an epiphany and everything made sense. And so the next day he barges into the writer's room and he writes on the blackboard, it's about character, you idiot. And he's like, that's what he said to himself in the
Hmm.
shower. He's just like, wait a minute. It's about character. It's about the people in the show. It doesn't matter, you know, how we craft this big, giant final battle. You know,
Hmm.
it's about the people. And time travel, as intricate and as so delicate as it seems in this story of how detailed they had to have been from the start to crack this whole story. That's good, that's important, but that's the icing on the cake, you know. The
Yeah.
story is the characters. The story is Jonas's love for his dad and Jonas's love for Martha, you know, and just I well, like watching this. This is one of those things where it just makes me want to create something, and it really wants me to like test my bounds a little bit, my boundaries when it comes to creativity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
get outside the box, Matt. You know, that's what I want people to take away from this. Like, hey, and you could quote me like this: "Hey, let's do it like Germany." I don't know. You know,
Wow.
just yeah.
That's the
Just
takeaway.
yeah, just try and challenge yourself and keep the heart of your story is your story. You
Yeah.
know, it's not about the
Yeah.
steampunk worlds, Matt.
As
Yes, I
much as
said
we
it.
as much
It's
as we would like it to be, it's not
all I'm
about the
saying.
steam
There
worlds.
hasn't
Yeah.
really been a very big budget good steampunk show or film.
Yeah.
So
We gotta crack that. We gotta
yeah,
crack the steampunk,
I cracked it, Sam. It's all about character.
character.
I'm gonna make the
Diesel
lady. I'm gonna
is
make
a
the.
character.
I'm gonna make the Lady Mechanica show
Hey, there you
or
go.
film. Yeah,
Or film, yeah.
listeners, thank you for joining us for these past 26 episodes,
Dang,
or 151 if you've been here from the start.
is that all it's been?
Yep. Thank you for joining us. Continue to join us through May. the month of fun. I guess I don't know.
What?
Because we don't have anything to watch, so we're just gonna have fun. We're gonna talk about anything we
Oh,
want.
oh, I
So
got you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah. So continue to just listen. We're going to be talking about some superhero stuff next week with Dad.
Hey.
Um, it's been a while since we talked D&D, so maybe we could do that at some point.
Oh, true,
Maybe
true.
watch a
Yeah.
movie or two. But yeah, so everyone, we don't have an exact date, so just circle the month of June. Sometime during
All
June,
of it.
all of it. Sometime during June is probably going to be like that second week of June. We're going to jump into season 5 of Lost.
It's time to go back.
It's time to go back. Yeah, and yeah, we're gonna finish the last 2 seasons of Lost.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be a ride. So as always, you can find us online hashtag Lost Legacies, and now you could send us an email at lostlegaciespodcast at
Hey.
gmail.com, or click the bottom of your doobly doo here in whatever you're listening to this on, and there should be a
Mm-hmm,
link
mm-hmm.
to text us. Normal standard messaging rates apply. I don't know. Whatever the fine print is that they always say in the commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah. As always, I'm on Twitter at underscore Matt Jimenez and on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real, it's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
And for the last time, going dark.
Going dark.